In the last year, I've been able to have more success than most salespeople achieve in a 30-year career. For reference, 2 years ago, I had about $59 in my bank account and I got my first job as a setter. 6 months after that, I got into my first closing role and I started making $30,000 to $50,000 a month. Fast forward to last month, through all my companies, I was able to take home $250,000. And that's not revenue, that is profit. I was not able to do this because I got the best leads, I got the best commission rate. In fact, it was the complete opposite. I was able to do this because there was a set of unconventional beliefs and standards that I learned about sales very, very early on. And again, these are things that most salespeople don't learn until about 30 years into their career. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're looking for more advanced training, there is a link down below where you can go and book a call with my team. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Here's the problem with most of the sales training out there today. It's outdated, it's surface level, and it's made for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. Most sales training focuses on things like just make more calls, follow this script word for word, handle objections with these comebacks, always be closing. But the reality is today's buyers are way more sophisticated than ever. They've heard the talk tracks, they've heard the tactics, they've heard the words, they've heard all the scripts, and they can smell commission breath coming from a mile away. The old school approach to sales, and I'm talking 3 years ago, is like bringing a knife to a gunfight. And it's getting people quite literally slaughtered on calls and causing the most churn I've ever seen. So what I'm about to share with you guys is not just a different approach to sales. It's a complete paradigm shift. And these are the exact same principles that allowed me to go from $59 in my bank account to taking home over $250,000 last month. And it can do the exact same thing for you. So before I break down the 7 steps, you need to understand something very crucial. Sales is not about techniques. Sales is psychology. The best salespeople in the world are not the ones with the smoothest talk tracks. They're not the ones with the pushiest sales tactics. They're not the ones with the most aggressive closing techniques. They're just not. The best salespeople are the ones who understand human psychology at a very deep level. Now, every one of these 7 steps represents a fundamental change in how you approach sales entirely. They're counterintuitive. They might even feel wrong at first, but they're the exact principle that I've used to generate millions and millions of dollars in revenue. Now, let's break down each step in the conventional wisdom that it replaces. Step number 1, sell identity, not information. Most people think objection handling is just handling logistics and explaining away concerns. The truth is that objection handling is identity transformation. When someone gives you an objection like, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, they're not talking about money or time. They're telling you about who they are right now, what they prioritize in their life and where it's gotten them. They're telling you there's someone who hesitates. They're telling you there's someone who procrastinates. It's all of these different reasons. Your job isn't to overcome the objection, it's to hold the mirror up and get them to understand that the person they are right now is the thing that's causing them to be in this position. And that the objection comes from who they are, not who they want to be. Let me give you an example. When someone tells me that it's too much money, I don't try to create urgency, I don't build discounts, I don't do all these different things because it just doesn't work. Instead, I isolate money, put them into results-based thinking, put them back into cause-based thinking, and then most importantly, attach an identity label to them. What this looks like is, yeah, there's gonna be 2 types of people in situations like this, right? There's always gonna be the guy who looks at the price and they're gonna say, oh my gosh, I can't swing that, I don't make enough money for that, I don't have the skills to do it. And there's gonna be the person who gets resourceful and does whatever it takes because they know how committed they are. Out of those 2 people, which one do you feel like is in a better position to get where they wanna go at the end of the day? Well, yeah, obviously person B. Well, why though? Because they're committed and they understand to do what it takes. At this point, it's not about the logistics of the money. It's about getting them to attach themselves to the identity of the person who gets resourceful. Because you better believe when our next question hits and we ask them to get resourceful, they're in a way better spot to do so. These are the word tracks that are going to get people to sign up on the call and not wait. Step number 2, create tension. Don't resolve it. Most people will tell you to answer objections logistically and solve the problems for them. The thing is, strategic tension drives decisions. Most salespeople rush to resolve tension right when it comes up. When a prospect says, I don't want to commit to this, the average salesperson is instantly going to go into reassurance mode. Oh, there's no commitment. You can refund. You can cancel anytime. Trust me. But that's the wrong approach. Instead, what you want to do is you want to amplify the tension. Make them understand that, yeah, you're not committed. So when someone tells me they don't want to commit, I simply say this. Yeah, I understand you don't want to commit to this because if you did want to commit, you would have done something about this 2 years ago when it started. But my only question for you is in the past 2 years, where has that led you? And are you happy and satisfied with exactly where you're at? Well, no, I'm not happy and satisfied. That's why I'm here. Right. So does you not wanting to commit mean you're not willing to change the way you do things if it means getting you where you want to go? Well, no, yeah, I can change the way I do things. This creates internal tension. They have to confront the contradiction between what they want and what they're willing to do to get what they want. I have many clients who tell me, I'm not ready to commit to this. My response is never to resolve the tension. It's to amplify it. You're right, this is a very serious commitment. And there's going to be the guys who look at a commitment like this and they get scared and they back off the cliff and they go back to the life they just came from. Which doesn't make much sense because that's why we're on the call. And then there's going to be the other people who look at the commitment straight dead in the face and they say, I know this is what it takes to get me to the next level. Out of those people, which one do you feel like is in a better position? Yeah, obviously the person who commits. It's just identity labels. We're attaching them onto people and it makes them very, very difficult to say no. Step number 3 is asking questions, don't make statements. Most sales wisdom is going to tell you to tell prospects problems and have them realize it. The moment you start telling someone about their problems, you create resistance. It's human nature. We don't like being told what our problems are. Instead, we need to ask them questions to get them to articulate articulate what the real problem is. Not only the real problem, but the cause of the problem, and most importantly, the impacts of the problem. People buy because they have high awareness and they have high urgency. Most prospects come on the call with low awareness, low urgency. So if we just tell them what the problem is, it's not doing any sort of persuasion. Instead, you're just like every other salesperson who gets onto this guy about why he needs to solve his problem that he barely even understands. So when they're giving you the answers to these questions, they're not just giving you information, they're backing themselves into a corner. They're selling themselves on why they need your solution. They're coming to the realization on their own, which is way more persuasive than us telling them. And trust me, people believe their own diagnosis much more than they believe other people's. An easy way to build more urgency with prospects is simply just to ask yourself, what impact happens because of the problem this guy told me? Let's take lead quality, for example. What happens because lead quality sucks? Well, we already know. Low show rate, low close rate, low revenue, annoyed sales team, high churn on the sales team, frustrated business owner, stagnant business. Now, I already know the impacts, but if I go and tell him the impacts, they're never gonna believe me. They're never gonna internalize it like they would if they came to it. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn those into questions. So you having the low lead quality, how's that affecting the close rate? I don't want to assume. Oh yeah, we have a low close rate. Okay, and I know some sales guys, react differently. Some are there for the base, some don't care. That low close rate, how is that impacting like the team morale right now? Oh yeah, our sales guys are super frustrated. Is that like having an impact on the churn in any way? Yeah, our sales guys keep leaving. So what are you doing about that? Are you like getting back on calls yourself? Are you doing just mass interviews? Like what's that process like? Oh yeah, I got to do mass interviews and hire a bunch of people. How's that affecting the growth of, like how fast you guys want to scale? I don't want to assume. Oh yeah, it's impacting that a ton. So boom, I already know the answers, but if I just can position my questions to get the answers for him to tell me, it's much more persuasive. Step number 4, focus on loss, not gain. Most people are gonna sell the benefits and most people are gonna sell the positive outcomes. The thing is, people are much more motivated by what they lose than what they gain. If I told a young kid to run towards an ice cream truck, he's going to run fast. But if I put him into a burning building and told him to run away, he's gonna run a whole lot faster because the ramifications of not getting there are so much greater. So we're not talking about opportunity anymore. We're talking about opportunity cost. What have they lost because of them doing things this way? For example, instead of saying, with this system, you'll make an extra $10,000 a month, which they've heard a million times, you break down their numbers of them not using the system and how much they're leaving on the table because they don't have the correct systems and skill sets in place. Step number 5, create internal urgency, not external pressure. Lots of people are going to go out there and create urgency using discounts and limited spots, but buyers have seen this and they know it's BS. Real urgency comes from internal tension, not the pressure that you put on them from outside. Instead, you need to create internal tension by creating a gap between where they are right now and where they want to be, and making that gap feel extremely, extremely uncomfortable, causing a lot of doubt that they can't figure it out on their own. So if this person tells me that they want to make $20,000 a month, but they're only making 5, okay, well, what's preventing you from making 20? Oh, well, I don't have the right skill set. Well, where do you notice you not having the right skill set? Oh yeah, my objection handling is garbage. This is a very small gap. In other words, I'm not going to be able to charge a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make him doubt the fact that he can get there on his own. The way that we make someone doubt is by making them understand that they have no idea why they're in this position. They have no idea how to solve it themselves. So exactly what I'm going to say is, well, let me ask you, do you genuinely believe that you have what it takes to be great at sales? Well, yeah, of course. Okay, well then what do you feel like you're either saying or maybe not asking that's causing your prospects to give you all these objections and not buy from you even though you feel like you're so good? Well, I don't know, that's why I'm here. Well, we've thought about it. I really don't know. Pause. We've just instilled quite a bit of doubt, but now we're going to do even more. Well, yeah, because if you consider the reason that you're even in this position in the first place and you're getting all these objections is because you don't have the right questions in order to pre-handle your prospects to make sure that they never even give you objections in the end, and if they do, they're super light. Like, have you considered that? Yeah, that actually makes sense. So now we've asked it in a persuasive way to get them to come to the realization themselves on what the problem is. At this point, we're going to cause more doubt by asking them this question. Because what questions do you have in your process to be able to take their experiences they've had in the past, what beliefs are surrounding those experiences, and then more importantly, remove those experiences and reframe them so they start viewing you as the authority and that they need to actually buy from you? Like, what kind of questions do you have for that, if any? At this point, they're going to look at you like you're a ghost because they know they have nothing, which causes further doubt. That's how you build internal urgency with someone, because when they get to the end, they're not going to think they can do it on their own. Step number 6 is pre-handling objections. Don't just handle them. Most sales trainers will tell you to wait until objections pop up and then have a fest with them. Now, I'm not saying that you can just pre-handle everything. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you can make your objection handling at the end much, much easier. By that point, prospects typically form some sort of mental barrier that's preventing them from moving forward, and there's really nothing you can do that's going to do it because you're just having a surface level conversation with their ego. You're not getting anywhere. The key is to pre-handle objections before they even come up in the first place. This is done by identifying the experiences and the limiting beliefs that are formed because of those experiences that cause them to not buy in the past, because it can be the exact same reason why they don't buy now. So what we do here is we ask them, all right, well, what prevented you from making a change in the past? Oh, well, I never had the money to invest into a program. Well, it's funny because, like, why are we on the phone right now? It's because you're seeking more money, right? You're looking for the skills to do what? Well, yeah, to make more money. Yeah, so you only making decisions based out of scarcity and never investing into yourself because you haven't went and found the money, where's that led you? Well, yeah, to like being in a bad position. Right, so is that way of thinking, is that worth holding on to? No, probably not, but I don't really know any other way. Well, yeah, there's gonna be two types of people in scenarios like this. There's gonna be the people who say, I don't have the money, so I'm giving up. Or there's gonna be the people who say, how can I get resourceful and make something happen to get where I wanna go? Which one of those people do you feel like is in a better position? Well, yeah, person B. Why? Because they know what it takes to get where they wanna go. Yeah, so can you see how you only making a decision based on you being resourceless instead of resourceful has been the reason why you're in this position? Yeah, I can definitely see that. Because what have you lost because you've been thinking that way? Well, I've lost tons. What if you keep thinking that way though? Because you don't have to change. Well, then I'll be in a way worse position. So why change now? Why not just let that happen? And now they explain to you why they're not gonna give you that objection at the end of the call. It will make your objection handling 10 times easier. Step number 7 is sell the problem, not the solution. Most people focus on building the solution, right? Most people focus on pitching and presentations. It's not the right way. The better you sell the problem, the easier it is to sell the solution. Most people will rush to talk about the benefits and the features and what do they gain and all these different things. It does nothing. The depth of the problem determines how fast they buy your solution. By the time I introduce my solution, I'm already 80% of the way there. The solution sells itself because my problem that I built them is so enormous that they feel like they have to make a choice. Most people think the problem is what the symptom of the problem is. For example, I had a call with a guy. He thought the problem was the fact that he wasn't closing enough deals, when in reality, that's the symptom. By asking the right questions, I got him to realize what the real cause was. The fact that he was using completely outdated techniques that caused all these crazy objections, and that they were losing market share to competitors who actually had the right process in place. By the end of the call, they weren't just buying a sales training program, they were buying a transformed sales team. Now, implementing these 7 steps is not going to happen overnight. It requires a fundamental shift in how you view sales. So just start by picking one of these principles to implement in your next call. Don't do everything all at once. Maybe it's selling on identity instead of information, or pre-handling objections instead of waiting for them to come up. You gotta record your calls if possible. You need to listen back to them. Sales transformation happens through awareness and deliberate practice on the things you need to get better at. And remember, they might feel very uncomfortable at first. That's gonna be completely normal. They go against everything you've ever been taught about sales. But discomfort is a sign that you're growing. Because if you continue to be comfortable, you're going to continue to be in the exact same position. The salespeople who make a ton of money a month are not focusing on the same things that you're focusing on. They're operating on a completely different level, a completely different playing field. And here's the most important thing to understand. These tactics work in any industry under the sun. As long as you're selling to human beings with problems and emotions around those problems, it is light. This is all you have to do. Human psychology remains the same all throughout different industries. If you found this valuable, drop a subscription and like and comment on the video. You have no idea how much that helps. In the comments below, let me know which one of the 7 steps resonated with you the most, or share a belief that you just recently broke. And if you're serious about taking the steps to get to the next level and you want to go deeper on all of these 7 topics, plus many, many more, you can go click the link below to book a call with my team and see if it makes sense for you to get some more advanced sales training. The link's in the description if you want. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.